This first story is about as classic of a Hollywood story as you could possibly ever get. Grace Van Dien, she is in fact the daughter of Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers. Fantastic movie if you've not already seen it. She was in Stranger Things and a bunch of other smaller productions. Maybe a Nepo baby, maybe not. But the idea here is that she has been propositioned by a producer in Hollywood to have a threesome, which has forced her to reconsider what she's doing, and she's moving to Twitch to focus more on a streaming career rather than an acting career.
Yeah. Just the idea of, like, in a Hollywood or non-Hollywood context, guy, like a grown man, recruiting his girlfriend to go like proposition some other woman for a threesome is so cringy to me.
Can't even do it himself.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of out there. The thing is that she didn't say exactly when it happened.
No.
But she's 26,
Yeah.
so, and we also don't.
Oh, really? I thought she was younger.
No,
she's 26, so she's an adult. I mean, for quite a few years.
It's not creepy.
So,
it's just
but
Hollywood.
I feel like a lot of
creepy.
people are like, "Oh my god, that's so creepy," because they view her as Chrissy from Stranger Things, where she was playing a 16-year-old, but she's 26. So
she said the last few projects she's been on haven't been good experiences, meaning like maybe there have been creepy pervs on all of them, which I wouldn't doubt.
It's Hollywood. That's like literally
that's the problem. Is it's Hollywood.
It's Hollywood. Like it's literally part of the entry process.
Unfortunately, this probably happens to a lot of actresses who are, well known and pretty.
Yep. I was in funny thing is you mentioned that her being 26 playing Chrissy is like I'm watching, like I said, between Buffy and Angel, and you see Charisma Carpenter, who was like in her mid-20s when she was playing like a 16-year-old.
Yep.
But she actually looks younger. Charisma Carpenter just looked like a 20-something-year-old lady playing high school.
She looks like she's like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with also Stranger Things is all of the older actors in season 4 were like 30, 25 to 30, and you could tell for a lot of them.
Right.
Is it sad that like we have to like give Hollywood credit that he asked permission at least and just got told no?
I guess it's
like literally they're so awful that it's like, well, at least he just asked.
The issue she was pointing out is that this producer hired a girl that he was sleeping with, who was then the woman that propositioned her, which is not appropriate in any workplace outside of Hollywood.
In any way, right?
But in Hollywood, this is normalized,
right?
So, I mean, if I were her, I would want to make a living on Twitch too.
I mean, good for her for moving to a different platform. I mean, I get why she moved to Twitch, because she's already kind of blown up there. Because when Stranger Things season 4 happened and she was a part of it, she went on to TikTok because one of the sounds with her talking kind of blew up, and then she was like, "Oh, it's me," and then she started streaming. So good for her that, if she's uncomfortable, she's getting herself out of that situation. But unfortunately, this probably happens with a lot of actresses now.
Do you think part of it is going to be like eventually like Hollywood, like all the smart actresses will just go to like places where they can control who has access to them, and the only people left in Hollywood will be men?
Well, maybe. It's interesting because people go to her Twitch streams to experience her actual personality.
Right.
Not
they don't view
a
her as
character.
Chrissy. Right,
yeah,
which is great for her, but unfortunately that doesn't happen for a lot of actresses.
And how long can you like ride on the hype of playing one notable role?
Right.
Like you're gonna have to return to acting at some point if you're small time.
I mean, maybe like that depends. Like you could go like brand, like she could become a brand ambassador
unless you start in OF.
Yeah, well, that's and that's really the other thing that I was going to mention is like those are the two avenues that they can go and control what people see. We can argue all day about whether that's good for the culture or not, but good for her bodily autonomy.
Yeah,
in that she's not going to be attacked by a producer if she's doing stuff on her own.
We've actually seen a couple of actresses do this. The last notable one was Chloe Moretz. She had basically made this tweet that, her gaming computer broke, and so like
Henry Cavill, go fix it.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly
Matchmaker.
what company did, but they sent her like a whole new setup, and then she just started streaming. I think a lot of these actresses who, I don't want to say they're old, because of course 26 isn't old, but they're getting older in the eyes of Hollywood, are transitioning to being independent, going on TikTok, onto Twitch. They are making their own content, which is great for them if that's what they want to do.
I don't even know if it's related to her age, because increasingly women in their 30s are getting major roles in Hollywood.
I still feel like Hollywood clearly has a type with actresses, especially ones that they kind of want to blow up like Grace. She does look younger, and I mean, she's very pretty, but I feel like actresses are maybe afraid, especially when you have Scarlett Johansson saying, oh, you know, I'm in my 30s and I'm losing roles. I mean, as a younger actress, I'd be pretty afraid, like, oh, I'm going to hit 30 and then Hollywood's not going to want me anymore. If they don't want Scarlett Johansson, why are they going to want me?
Yeah.
Also, like, there's an implication in a producer, meaning like one of your bosses propositioning you, that threatens your job on that project.
Because then they can start pushing rumors that you're not you're not easy to work with.
You're difficult to work
you're
with.
difficult
because you didn't
to
sleep
work
with
with.
me and this other girl that I hired.
Right.
It's also funny because just in any other job, that producer loses his job.
Right.
Like at most other jobs, like if you're not the boss.
But it almost feels like this behavior is incentivized in Hollywood specifically.
Yeah.
So I just think there's going to be an interesting shift in how people, I really do think Hollywood will become the jumping off point for the more industrious actresses who want to make a living outside of, I mean, even actors. There are plenty of actors who have YouTube channels that do, and athletes that have YouTube channels that do very, very well. Obviously, the athletes are making hundreds of millions of dollars, so that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they make with their contracts. But there's a couple of minor league baseball players that have turned like a brief stint in the pros into like a lot of knowledge that they can turn into content that they can use to make very informative videos that can grow large audiences. And that could work for men and women. But I think the reason for men doing it will be a lot different than the reason for women wanting to do it.
I just feel like a lot of the actors, actresses, just, you know, people like we're talking about, even athletes, are afraid of being pushed out of an industry one day, and then it's like you're on your own bye. So they're, you know, making their own platform.
I get a sense that Hollywood elites really resent anyone's ability to make a name for themselves without the support of the establishment.
Comics is the same way.
Well, obviously it's the same way.
Comics does not want you to be able to succeed without the help of either DC, Marvel, or I guess IDW,
or even just
somewhat.
having the right like group of friends or associates.
Right, and clearly, you know, many people have proven that wrong in comics.
And that's funny because that market is kind of stabilizing now. Like people like when crowdfunding first came to fruition in its more popular iteration recently in recent years with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, there was like a gold rush of sorts early on, and now it's stabilized. So if you do it consistently and you develop an audience and people that will come back for your product, you can start to make reasonable guesses on what you're going to be making per comic now, rather than before you didn't know. So a lot of these actresses and actors can be doing the same now too. They're like, look, I see somebody like this actress who's in a similar position to me. We have similar sensibilities. You have to kind of look at the blueprint. Like, look, how engaged is she on social media? How often does she stream? How much work goes into it? And what Hollywood wants is for you to have to, like, they're like, look, we'll do all of the grunt work. We'll take care of we'll give you all the infrastructure, but we take a majority of the profits, and we have an absurd amount of control and ability to ask you to do things that you may not want to do.
Also, another thing in Hollywood is makeup brands and skincare brands like Lady Gaga, Millie Bobby Brown.
Zendaya now.
Zendaya. They're all starting kind of their independent businesses that are blowing up because of their brand name. And then they don't even have to really make content besides maybe one small social media video a month. Independent kind of creators like Twitch streamers. Valkyrie specifically tried to make like a anti-blue light skincare brand that failed epically, and people roasted her for it. But I mean, we're seeing it.
Blue light.
Yeah, because like blue light from the computer screens and your gaming monitors are like killing your skin, even though there's no scientific proof behind it.
It's killing your eyes.
I love the hook. I love the hook. At least it's a clever marketing
gimmick.
campaign.
Yeah,
and then she got really blasted for that, but that's because there wasn't a lot of science behind that kind of
cover yourself
skincare
in
line.
Yellow paint to block the blue light.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I don't know.
But she tried, and that didn't work, but I think that was more kind of science-based because that didn't have a lot of research behind it. But all these independents are trying to create their own products now, and for the women in Hollywood, it's like makeup and skincare.
Yeah.
It's funny too because WWE kind of got in on this too, where they wouldn't allow their talent to have like they basically like, you work for us, we take all the
That happened with
profits.
Paige, right? She tried to leave, and then they wouldn't let her do her Twitch streams and like YouTube streams and stuff.
While she was there.
Right.
Well, I mean, they also own, like, when they go to work there, they have to, like, their Twitter handle has to be like their ring name.
Yeah.
And then that forces, like, when they leave, they have to rebrand.
Yeah.
And a lot, like, the ones that are successful are the ones that were either had a name before they went there, so they can go back to whatever their ring name was before that. But a huge number of the wrestling community are big on Twitch, love video games, love streaming, love stuff like that. I don't know if that changed when Vince left, but, you know, old...
Even though it's rumored he's coming back now, and that he's just gonna retake over everything.
It's perfect too, because now it gives Triple H an out. Like, anytime he makes a bet, because people are, like, already, like, super paranoid. So anytime like he does something they don't like, they're like, Vince must be back. Like, he must be back. He must be in charge. Triple H would never have approved that. So he just gets to blame Vince for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a big company that in a lot of ways screws you in a lot of the same ways that Hollywood does. Like, they're forced to be called they're independent contractors, even though they're not allowed to work anywhere else.
Right.
They obviously put strict regulations on your ability to make money outside of the company. You're still required to do all sorts of media appearances, and they don't give you health care.
Yeah.
So, like,
I personally tapped out of WWE when they fired. They got rid of CM Punk, and then they fired his wife on their wedding day. They sent her pink slip on her wedding day.
I thought it was his pink. Like, they gave him his final papers on their wedding.
Final papers on their wedding
that
day.
Was
that was so shitty.
Granted, I can't stand him. I find him to be insufferable. But yeah, that not good. But there's a whole history of WWE. Like, if that is the least bad thing that Vince and that company have ever done. Hint, Jimmy Snuka and showing up to a police station with a briefcase.
Their whole history, they've done awful things, especially to their talent, like we're talking about.
Like, the one, like, it's really funny because I got into a discussion with someone about it. Like, the company, like, anybody that's ever worked for WWE has a blanket open door to go to any rehab facility, and they'll pay for it. And they're like, that's so nice of them. Like, it's a company. They don't know how to be nice. It's just good marketing.
Right. It's good PR.
Because they literally lived through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s where literally there was no such thing as a wrestler that wasn't on drugs all the time.
Right.
Like,
it's
that wasn't a thing.
It's like the whole Ezra situation, right?
Yeah.
They're going to therapy and they're going to rehab. They're not doing that because they want this person to get help. They're doing it because they have a movie that they have to put out.
Oh, I've got a really heartbreaking one for you. I was on Instagram the other day. I kid you not, there was an account that said, like, Ezra is my Flash.
What?
And it's like somebody who's like
hashtag not my Flash.
Like, no, like, it's like a stan account for Ezra Miller. And I was like, maybe they just don't know what's going and like the top thing was like, it was like Ezra getting help. Like, see, he wants to get better.
Yeah, they want to get better.
He wants. They want to get better.
Where is the proof, though?
Yeah.
Like,
and I was like, man,
reinvent themselves and all this bull.
This is why I feel like Me Too was a complete farce and was never aimed at striking fear into actual predators. It was just, picking sacrificial lambs so that the actually dangerous, powerful people would stay in place.
Right.
Yep, and I mean, Vince McMahon got outed because of like 5 sexual that wasn't misconduct. It was just he paid off women because he had affairs with them.
That's a lot different.
It's but it's like when I was like only 5. I literally figured it would be like in the hundreds.
The most recent 5.
Yeah, okay. like the other ones are just like either like gone or like a statute of limitations has run out. So like it's like literally like Vince McMahon is like the most like. He is problematic. Like, if you looked up problematic in a dictionary, it would be a picture of Vince McMahon in a lot of respects. So I got a kick out of that. I was like, well, it is kind of true that the only person who could bring him down is himself.
Right.
Like, he was bigger than life. So the only person that's going to bring Vince down is Vince. So do you think that this is the type of thing that will end up changing the type of person that gets into acting? So the thing that I was talking about with somebody earlier was back in the day, I always thought about it as actors like wanted to be in it for the craft, right?
Yeah.
But as Hollywood expands, there's too much content needing to be made, meaning that they don't just need really good actors now. They need whoever they can to fill roles. We're not just going to have people that are passionate about the craft of acting. It's going to be filled with people that just want to be famous.
Right.
Do you think that this type of thing will lead to more of those people moving more towards streaming? Or do you think that they're still going to come to acting looking to get their boost into streaming elsewhere? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think that in a lot of ways streaming requires more of the person? Because you have to be a self-starter.
Yeah.
You have to come up with your own ideas and grow your own audience. And
It's
not
harder.
just be talent, but also like you have to like give yourself your own platform and then keep it up long term. That's like harder in a lot of ways than being an establishment actor.
But that's what I say. I feel like the starting as an establishment actor gives them the base level of notoriety that helps them build from there. Right. Like a lot of times the hardest place is just to get out of that.
They get their branding. They get that image.
But at the end of the day, you have to be an interesting person off screen.
Well,
and that doesn't describe a lot
What
of
if they
them.
can just play their character really well?
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
can
Grace
play-
Van Dyne could have just went and played a Chrissy type character on Twitch, and people would be like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" It'd be like if Millie Bobby Brown played 11 on Twitch.
Ryan
That would
Reynolds
be-
is just Ryan Reynolds everywhere he goes.
Right.
So, you know, like you
It's
just
like
end
The
up.
Rock. The Rock is just The Rock.
I miss wrestling Rock when he was actually like
he's dead.
edgy.
He's been replaced with a family-friendly Rock.
He's sexless
like a pebble
and
now.
yeah, sexless and boring is what he
Yeah.
is. So, thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.